What's up, guys? How's it going? It is Matt here. So first things first. So some of the people have been saying in my videos, Matt, please, can you please do something about that hole that's in the wall behind you? Please just do anything, do something. So for you guys, I did something for it. There you go. Something. Let's move on to the video. So today we're going to talk about something. Okay, we're going to talk about something that I get a lot of comments on and stuff like that, and it's something I like to cover. There's different types of people in the gun community. All right, there's a couple different types of classes of people in the gun community, gun culture, what do you want to call it? But I'm only going to talk about two specific types. So today I'm going to talk about the gun experts, okay, or the shooting experts, and then the gun fighters, okay? So there's a difference between gun experts and gun fighters. So what I mean by that, guys, is, for example, I did a video why I'm no longer using striker fired pistols. That's just taken off. There's outside websites pushing it. I don't know why, but that video's taken off. So I've gotten some funny comments in it because you know, I basically said in the video I will no longer be carrying or buying any more striker fired pistols. Now, keep in mind, I know striker fired pistols. I've had striker fired pistols. I've been using them for about 11 years. Okay, I've been using these about 11 years. I've had anywhere between 15 to 20,000 rounds through striker fired pistols. So it's not very new, not very new to me. It's not something I'm not trained up on. So I'm very talented with these. I'm talented with a lot of different gun systems that we have. Now, prior to the video, I have several guns out here. Every single one of them has been cleared prior to the video, and I will be pointing them in a absolute safe direction. So just throwing that disclaimer out there for the people to freak out. So a lot of people in the video said, towards the end of the video, I said, I get ticked off because people, you know, the reason why people don't like hammer fired pistols or double action only pistols or something like that is because they're too lazy to train with it, which is 100% true. They're too lazy to train with different systems they're not familiar with. So I'm going to cover a couple different types of shooters that are out there. Like I said, the experts and the war fighters. You know, not war fighters, we'll call it the student of the guns, okay? So the experts and the student of the guns. Now, what it is, guys, it's like this. So as you guys know, a lot of the times you see me carrying this, okay, my 1911. Or you see me carrying this, my P250. This is double action only. 1911 is single action. Striker fire is technically double action, but it's actually a striker fired. And sometimes you'll even see me with this, okay, my snubby. You know, a couple comments I've gotten from the video. Some people said that the reason I don't like striker fired pistols is at a certain time frame, and that's specifically because, you know, I said in that part of the video that people are too lazy to train with other guns. So why don't they just admit that they don't like the guns because they're too lazy to train with them? People said that's the reason that I don't like them, when the truth is, you know, I've had this for a long time. I'm not getting rid of it. This is like, I've had this gun for a long time, okay? I've had this pistol alone for 9 years, and prior to that I had a Glock 22 for about 2 or 3 years is what I had that for. So I'm very, very familiar with striker fire pistols. I've been shooting them for a while. So they said I'm too lazy to train with them, when the truth is I know how to use every single one of these systems about as well as every single one of them. I can use the 1911 as good as I can use the double action only. The 250, I can use the M&P just as good as I could use my revolver. So I can use those because I've trained through the systems route. I've trained with all the systems. You know, I like to consider myself kind of like a student of the gun. Now, in the military, it was preached to us all the time as a rifleman, 0311 rifleman, a grunt, is, you know, our main primary system was the M16A2. At the time, the M16A2, I had an M203 grenade launcher. Now, the M16 is an awesome platform. We use it every single day. You're constantly out training with it, shooting it nonstop. It becomes second nature to you. You can manipulate it in your sleep. Your thumbs are on the safeties, and before you go into the room, the safety's off, or safety's on. The second you're in the room, the safety's up, off without even thinking about it. So we're really good with those systems. But as grunts, we also make sure that we're familiar with the AK platform. The reasons behind that is if there's a major malfunction in my specific rifle and all that's available to me is an AK-47, that I can pick it up and shoot it, or a AKM or a RPK. I can pick up those systems and shoot it. I know how to use AR platforms, belt-fed platforms. I'm very well trained up in those specific, you know, in those different platforms specifically for that reason. Now, there's some people out there that say they're experts and they're damn good with their guns. Don't get me wrong, they're damn good with their guns. But here's the thing, they've never used any other system. They've never trained with any other system. They don't want to train with any other system because they like the system that they have. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Okay, it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying they have a different mindset than a lot of warriors, a lot of gunfighters, or the student of the guns have. Okay. For example, is another person in that actually video. He commented. This is not about the video. I'm just using this video as an example. There's another person said in that video, is like, I don't know why why you said this bad thing about striker-fired pistols. He's like, I've had one for over 20 years and it's never failed me. And I'm just like, well, have you had? I didn't say anything, but I'm just like, well, I wonder if this guy's had anything other than a striker-fired pistol for the last 20 years. Now, if you watch like certain videos, like Nothing Fancy. Right here, the 6 hour P250. Nothing Fancy does a video about this and calls this a Hall of Famer pistol. So he was taking people out to shoot it and just teaching them how to shoot the pistol, the double action only. And every single one of them were bitching and complaining about this pistol because they said they couldn't use the trigger. They didn't like the trigger and they prefer their Glock. It was always a Glock over that. And they just didn't like the trigger because it was a bad shooter and they didn't like it. It didn't feel good. That's because this is a double action only, which means it's a very long trigger pull, which means when you shoot it, you have to stage the trigger like this, okay? You stage the trigger just like that, then you squeeze the trigger. So you have to learn how to use the double action only to do this. And if you use it properly, this is an absolute nail driver, insanely accurate pistol. The 320 is actually based off of this system. So, but they were complaining because they couldn't hit anything with it. And because of it, they're saying it's a bad trigger or whatever, and I don't like this gun, and it doesn't shoot very well, and that type of stuff. When in truth, it's just, they just didn't know how to use it. They honestly just didn't know how to use it. Now, there's a lot of people out there that'll say in the videos, and they say, there's nothing, I won't use anything other than a 1911 because nothing compares to a 1911. The 19 is the best damn gun in the world, and nothing compares to it. It's easier to conceal than all this other stuff, and they'll say that all the time. But that's the only system they've ever used. A lot of them are heirlooms, or a lot of them, they just like their 1911s. I said there's nothing wrong with that if you like one system. It's just a different mindset. Whereas me, yes, I know how to use this. I know how to use this very well. And then here comes the striker fired. So people love their striker fired pistols, especially the Glocks. The Glock peoples, they love their Glocks. They have like 1 million Glocks. And they love their Glocks. And they'll tell you the striker fired pistol is the best system because all the other systems out there are bad because they have stuff like manual safeties, or they have long trigger pulls, or they have the double to single action. So they'll say that all these systems are bad because it isn't a Glock or it isn't a striker fired pistol, and that they refuse to train with those because they're bad systems compared to their perfect system, and there's nothing ever goes wrong with this, and it's safe as everything else, when in truth this is not as safe as the other ones because it has a slight more issues, especially clothing can simply pull this trigger off and all that other stuff. So but what they'll basically say is this is better than all those because they don't have the same features as this, which is pretty much no features. Now, there's other people that will tell you straight up from the bat that revolvers are the only way to go. The only way to go is revolvers. You can only use revolvers. Revolvers will always get the job done. You don't need too many rounds and all this other stuff. And that's what they'll say. And they'll call everything else bad because revolvers are better. So that's the type of people, those are the experts, okay? Those are the gun experts, the gun expert mindset. Now there's different types of experts. This is I'm trying to think of a good name for it. They are experts in shooting their own personal guns that they like, the systems that they like. And once again, there's nothing wrong with that. They like that system, stick with the system. Then you have the mentality like me. Mentality like me, a lot of infantry guys, a lot of grunts are like this. There's a lot of civilians out there that are really good with this too. I can use this just as well as I can use this. And I can use this just as well as I could use this. And I could use this just as well as I could use this. So basically, that's the different mindset, okay? There's kind of the warrior mindset, and there's kind of this whole, expert with my own system type of mindset. Now, I'm going to throw it out there like a scenario like this, whatever you guys want, however you guys want to say it. I'm going to throw you a scenario. So shit hits a fan, without rule of law happens, whatever it is, you're in combat zone, you're in war, whatever it is, and something seriously goes wrong with your firearm, or it breaks, or you're injured, or there's something bad happening, you have to get back to the rear. That doesn't happen very often, but if it did, you have to get back to the rear, and the only thing that's available to you because your stuff is down is something else. So what happens if the only thing you see on the ground or that you can get a hold of is something like this? Are you just going to leave it there because you don't know how to use it properly? Or are you going to pick it up because that right there could be your lifeline to get you back to the rear, could get you home safely? You know, there's this big mindset that there's a big difference in the mindsets. Now, there's a lot of people, like I said, they'll constantly bitch and complain about various systems all the time, specifically because they only like one system. Like, you know, you have the Glocktards. I call them the Glocktards a lot because they literally worship the Glocks. You know, they're the cultists. Or you have 1911 tards. You know, they worship the 1911. Or revolver tards. You know, you guys catch my drift. I'll do that video for another time. You know, I'll do a whole video on that for you guys, just for you guys. So there's people that specifically like that system and they don't use any other system, and they collect that system, and that's awesome if you collect it, and that's the only system that you want to use, that you're able to use. But once again, what if something does happen and you find yourself in a bad situation where you have to go, say, from this to this? I mean, how are you going to be able to handle this? Are you going to be able to shoot it? Do you even know how to work it properly? So it's kind of an important thing to use. Now, another thing that I've seen too on, like if you look at PD Live, those videos, it's actually a pretty cool show doing PD Live. It's like modern day cops, except it's live video and stuff that's going on, so you get to see stuff in the happenings and they're going. Is most police officers these days carry striker-fired pistols. It's usually a Glock 22 or M&P. Those are the most common ones that you see. There's other departments you carry whatever, SIGs, whatever. But the most common guns that you see in police departments are Glocks or M&Ps. Now they're pretty good with their system. They know how to use their system. But that is the only system they know how to use. And I've seen on these live videos, and I've seen on cops, like they'll get a suspect, they'll put someone in custody, and they'll find, say, a revolver. Okay, they'll find a revolver on it, and they're sitting there, and they have to clear the gun. If you have to clear it, okay. If it's not using anyone, and you're going to be collecting it as evidence, you have to clear the firearm. So they're sitting there, and they're like, they can't figure out how to open the cylinder. They can't figure out, you know, they think this is a safety that you push down, and that's not doing anything. They're like, they don't understand it, when all you gotta do is push it down and pop out one side of it. So what they do is they usually set it down on something, and you'll see them set it down on like a table, and you can see the rounds that are in there, and they'll have to wait for some other officer to show up to actually clear it for them because they don't know how to clear it. Now, that could be a big issue. Say, for example, a police officer gets in a bad situation, loses control of their gun, or they'll take out a threat or whatever it is, they lose control of their gun. And one of the suspects that they find is this, okay? That's all they find is this, and it's been shot at them, it's empty, and they see that there's rounds that's available, or there's a couple rounds in it. They have to know how to simply pull this up if they're in cover, clear it, pull this out there, and get that into the fight effectively, because that could be their lifeline to get home. So there's this big difference in mindsets when it comes to, you know, different types of gun owners. You know, and if you like just sticking with one system, that's you, man. If you want to do that, go for it, man. That's what you do if you like that. But I would highly recommend you start looking and kind of trying to become a student of the gun and actually learning these different systems. Because, say, for example, if this is the only thing you're used to, and this is the only thing you've ever used to, and something bad happens, you're in a shitty situation, or without rule of law, there's zombies come, or, you know, something fun like that comes. Not fun, but you know what I mean. It's kind of fun for me. And this is all you have available to you. You have to know how to use it, okay? You have to, and by far, this will work a hell of a lot better than those. So, just saying. So, you guys catch my drift. When it comes to learning how to use firearms, you know, you shouldn't limit yourself to one system alone. You really shouldn't limit yourself to one system alone. You should really get hands-on and learn how to shoot various systems, because for all you know, you may have to rely on one of those systems somewhere down the line. You know, what, for example, is you're at a place where you're not allowed to have a gun. By law, you're not allowed to have a gun. You're a good citizen, so you leave it in your car locked up, and an active shooter comes in or something like that. Somehow that guy managed to get taken out of the fight, but there's partners, and all they came in there with is, say, you know, this or something like that, and you've never used one a day in your life, but there's still another active shooter available. You need to have the ability to pick this up in your hand and be able to function and use it and shoot it accurately in a situation where it requires you to. So, I'm just throwing it out there, guys. So if you guys are all about just learning one system, please, by all means, just learn about that one system. But keep in mind, something bad can happen somewhere down the line or something like that. So it would behoove you, that's what we say in Mihu, it would behoove you to learn how to use other systems. So that's throwing it out there, guys. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about me. Guys, go check me out on Patreon. My patrons, you guys help support this channel. You guys keep this content coming. And for all the people that are complaining about the hole in the wall, I did something for you. So I hope you like it. There you go. Anyway, guys, peace.